Greetings. I'm your brother, Brother Minister Wasim Muhammad. Welcome to another edition of the Wasim Muhammad Show. And I am as excited as I ever could be as to have this opportunity to broadcast to you here from this very humble studio here in Camden, New Jersey. But first, I want to take the opportunity to thank some wonderful people. I want to first start with Mayor Frank Moran for giving me this opportunity to shine a light in this community and to express myself as a school board member here in the city of Camden. I want to also thank the school board, starting with our board president, Miss Martha Wilson, and vice president, Miss Felicia Reyes Morton, and the wonderful board members who I sat on the board with. And I also want to thank the superintendent of Camden City Schools, Superintendent Payman Rahana, for doing such a wonderful job and making sure that our community, most of our community needs are being met. But this morning or this evening, depending on when you're watching this show, I have a very, very exciting guest who's doing some wonderful work here in the community from a national program that I have the opportunity to be a part of, which is called the National Youth Forum, which is a federal program that started under the former president, Barack Obama, in trying to curtail some of the youth violence that's been going on in our community. And they have a bunch of wonderful, wonderful programs that's surrounded by that. And we're so fortunate through the Center for Family Services here in Camden, in the Camden City's office of the mayor, which is Mayor Frank Moran, to have the wonderful opportunity to highlight this Community Leadership Academy. I have with me a very, very exciting guest, and my sister is doing a wonderful job, the Community Leadership Academy coordinator here in Camden, Sister Elsica González. Elsica, greetings to you.
Greetings.
It's okay. How's everything?
Good, thank you.
I just want to take the moment to welcome you here to CCSD-TV and talk to the community a little bit about yourself. And first, we want to talk about what exactly is the Community Leadership Academy.
So the Camden City Community Leadership Academy, it basically is a social mobilization effort to empower residents in the city of Camden to get involved in the efforts that are being done to see Camden rise, and to really support one another, building relationships, and really just to see transformation amongst each other and to just have that connection to one another in a safe space, and talking about real issues and how we could come together to make a difference in the city.
Now, what would be the difference between that and other community-based projects that's going on in the city of Camden? What makes Community Leadership Academy under the Center for Family Service through the Office of the Mayor here in the city of Camden? What makes that a little different than other interactions that we have with parents and students? Is it special because it's interacting with both parents and students and youth as well as just parents? Talk to us a little bit about that.
So pretty much the academy is for any resident in the city of Camden who is 18 years old or older, who's looking to promote some form of social change. And pretty much it's open to the public, to the residents, but they also partake in 13 seminars, which consist of learning about leadership, learning about, team, like doing things in teams, also being able to work independently as well as in a team, public speaking, learning about the faith-based communities as well as the different departments within the city.
I guess just in general, just learning about being actively involved in the community. I would like to say, instead of being a part of the problem, being a solution to the problem. Would you style it like that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But just give us a little more about that. I didn't want to interrupt you because I want the community to become more familiar with this program through you, who is the coordinator here, who I have the wonderful opportunity just to let us know, along with the one of the great employees of Center for Family Services, who is the program coordinator for Cure Violence, Cure for Camden, Miss Barbara Marowski, to go out to California and to travel then with then Mayor Dana Red and some wonderful people in the community to see this program that they had in Salinas, California. and it was great. It was great, and you kind of have the same personality of the coordinator who was running the program. You do that vibrant smile. I think I would say a disarming smile that brings a community together, especially when a community that may seems to be so, everybody's into their own silos and may not come together. I think it takes a warm person with a decent smile and a great personality to bring the community together. So go ahead, just continue to tell us a little more about it.
So pretty much in the Leadership Academy, we rolled our first group out back in October of last year. And in that group, we had about 5 participants, ranging from 21 being our youngest to 62 being our oldest. And so, and in that, we had pretty much people from that either worked in the city of Camden or that volunteered in the city. And all of them pretty much came together. We met at the Sanctuary of Deliverance off of Kane Avenue every Monday and Tuesday for 2 hours on Mondays and Tuesdays. And in our conversations, pretty much the way that we begin the academy is, we start off with an opening circle, which is pretty much doing something either interactive or talking, pretty much giving feedback around a general question, sort of like a community energizer or an icebreaker. And then we do that for about a half an hour, give us that opportunity to re-engage, to kind of establish some of that rapport and that connection, and getting to learn about one another. And then we have our presentation from our presenters. And then from there, we then have a closing circle after that hour. And the closing circle pretty much is us just talking about our reflections of the presentation that we had, and pretty much everyone's assessment of what they learned and, any feedback.
I guess just being involved. But a quick shout out to Reverend Kevin Washington of the Sanctuary Deliverance Church for allowing this opportunity. And I heard you mention earlier that you really would like to get more involved with the faith-based community. Yes. Is that so? I mean, what if a senior pastor, a junior pastor, imam, or a minister, or someone, or community group leader, if they wanted to, they're watching this program and they wanted to get more involved, are they welcome? Or are they more welcome to even facility or just to bounce around? Do you move, or are you just always at the Sanctuary Church?
Yes, no. I'm actually mobile. So the project, we have little to no funds with this project. So we pretty much is all about connection, about collaborating with other entities within the city, whether it be faith-based, whether it be other, community agencies that are out there that are looking for the academy to be brought to them. But we do a lot of really collaborating. It's really about building relationship. But just to share with you, our next academy, there's 2 academies that are rolling out now. And on the 20th, we start orientation. And we have a group running from 6 to 8 on Mondays and Tuesdays.
That will be the 20th of February, correct?
The 20th of February, yep. Gotcha, yes. And then on the 21st, we have our other orientation for our second group, which is going to be happening from 10 to 12 over at Parents for Greater Camden Schools.
Okay.
So the executive director there, Brian Morton, actually, has welcomed the academy for his parent leaders to be part of the Community Leadership Academy.
Yes, I think that's very interesting. As we wind down on this particular segment of this particular show, I've heard we're going to talk a little more about you. Okay. Get the community more involved with you, because I think one of the aims that we try to do in this program is try to inspire some of our young people who may not be able to touch and feel people every day, who they see on camera doing certain things. Because, television sometimes can be so far away. Hollywood is so far away, from some people's reality. But we like to highlight great people in and around Camden County, South Jersey, that people see every day, to inspire a lot of our young people that they too can do what they see others doing. So I want to spend a little more time on the next segment, talk a little more about you. But before we go to that segment, how can someone, if they want to get in touch with you through Center for Family Services, which is the lead organization of the program? It's a great organization. I had a wonderful time partner with them for Cure for Camden. And I'm just so excited to have that opportunity to partner with such a great organization. And, you learn so much from, larger and bigger organizations and partnerships. And that's what it's all about. So how can the community get in touch with you? Is there a number that they can reach out to you?
Absolutely. So there's a couple ways that they can get involved. The one way they can apply is either by mail, so they can make a request for the application, or they could stop by to our central office at 584 Benson Street in Camden to pick up an application, or they can email it to me, or they can make the request through email and I can send it to them as an attachment. And vice versa. They can, send it back to me through an attachment after they complete it to Community Leadership Academies at Center F as in Frank, S as in Sam.org. Or they can call me at 609-238-0654. There's also voicemail, which they can also leave a voicemail in the event I'm not able to get to the call, but I would definitely get back to them before the end of that business day.
Okay. Are you guys on social media?
Oh yes, we also are on social media. Anyone can get information either through our Cure for Camden page, or they can also just follow. They could look for me on social media. It would be Elsica González MSW, and that's pretty much another way where I put the information out there as well about the academy, as well as our agency's Facebook page. Center for Family Services.
Okay, all right. So, I think that our next segment, we're going to go a little more into Miss Elsica González, who she is, and to inspire some of our young people in Camden, because I believe you're a Camdenite, correct?
I am.
So, don't you go nowhere. As my young children always say to me, Dad, nobody has a dial anymore. So please stop saying don't touch the dial, but don't touch that remote. And please don't change the social media channel that you're looking on. We're going to be right back with our sister Elsica González.
Hello, I am Leonie Ortiz.
And I'm Jose Campos. We admire the soldiers of the Tuskegee Airmen, not just as individuals, but as a group, because they were hard-working men. The Tuskegee Airmen were important to history because they were the first African-American group of soldiers to successfully complete their training and enter the Army Air Corps.
Almost 1,000 aviators were produced as America's first African-American military pilots. The Tuskegee Airmen is the popular name of a group of African-American military pilots, fighter and bombers who also fought in World War II, but officially they formed the 332nd Fighter Group and the 477th Bomber Group of the United States of America's Air Forces.
The Tuskegee Airmen faced racial discriminations both at home and aboard the field. The Tuskegee Airmen went into the Army Air Force to help fight against discrimination in America.
What I respect from the Tuskegee Airmen was that they never gave up on their country and died with honor.
What I learned from them is that no matter what skin color you are, you can always be a hero and help the world.
Greetings, and we are back, and I'm having a wonderful conversation with a wonderful person here in the studio, the Community Leadership Academy. And from my take of what it is empowering young people, parents, and community members of how to get involved and be involved and stay involved in a proficient way in the community, and not just be a person who complains and talks about a problem, but how to get involved and solve problems. And this is what we're looking for in our community, problem solvers. And so I'm so very happy that the Community Leadership Academy is functioning. But we want to share with the audience Who is Elsica González? Start there.
Okay, well, I pretty much was born and raised in North Camden. I pretty much went to most public schools in the city of Camden, aside from going to parochial school. I went to parochial school for about 2 years in Holy Name.
Okay.
Kindergarten, I went to Coopers Point.
Okay.
And then 3rd grade through 8th grade, I went back to Coopers Point again.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to wear a uniform.
Just couldn't get rid of Coopers Point.
I didn't want to. I went back to Coopers Point. So I did that. And then my 9th grade year, I went to Medical Arts High School. Okay. And from there, my mom decided to move to Puerto Rico.
Oh, okay.
So we relocated, and I was there for about 2 years. And then I came back my senior year because I wanted to go to college here in the States.
Okay.
So I ended up coming back to Jersey. And I couldn't go back to medical arts, unfortunately, because I had to do all 4 years. Mm-hmm. So I ended up going to private school. I ended up going to Catholic school again. So I ended up graduating from Camden Catholic. And then from there, I ended up going to Rutgers Camden. Okay. Where I did my bachelor's in psychology. Mm-hmm. And I graduated in 2005 with my bachelor's. And then from there, just did some work in the city in social work. So I started out doing case management with a program here in the city of Camden called Healthy Start. Well, it was called Healthy Start at the time. I'm not sure if it's still known as that, but it was a partnership that existed between Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies, and Cooper Hospital. Oh, okay. So I did that for about 2 years, where pretty much I worked with women who were pregnant or who were postpartum, up until their child was 2 years old. I followed the family, and I did that for a couple of years, and then I worked with Leap Academy. Okay. So I did that for about a year and a half. So I was their enrollment and data specialist, and then I worked in the pre-college office with 9th and 10th graders doing like academic advising. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I ended up working for Center for Family Services. Oh, okay. With their Housing First program, and that was back in 2010. So ever since 2010, I've been working with the Center for Family Services.
Okay. So how did this opportunity come up for Community Leadership Academy? How did that opportunity, was it presented it to you, or you just what made you want to shift? If you were already an employee.
To be real with you, I'll be very real with you. I actually was, prior to doing this work, I was working with SERVE, which is Services Empowering Rights of Victims, in Gloucester and Cumberland County with the Center for Family Services. Mm-hmm. So it's another program within the agency. And I was commuting in between 4 different offices in the southern region. And every day I was at a different office pretty much. Mm-hmm. And I was traveling from my county, which is Camden County, to these other counties. So it was a lot of traveling, but I did it for about 4 years, very passionate about it. But then it was taking a toll on me. Mm-hmm. And then there was a loss in the family. My uncle, who was like my dad, passed, and I needed to make some changes in my personal life. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up, just looking for other positions within the agency. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up coming across, this position. Mm-hmm. And my supervisor was like, well, why don't you apply? I mean, it's sort of what you're doing now. You're building capacity, but it's just on a different level, and why don't you just try? Well,
real quick, that term, building capacity. Talk to us, the community, a little bit about what is building capacity, because I think that can inspire many of our young people and its community members in general. I think that they need to, that's a bullet point there.
Yeah, I remember when I first started doing advocacy work with the SERVE program, the term was used at a regional meeting that we had. And I really didn't even understand the concept. I was like, wait a minute, what is that? Like, can we go back? And so pretty much building capacity is another word to use to describe when on a macro level, when we're talking about helping to promote social change. Mm-hmm. And it's really, trying to help the public to shift their perspective and seeing something from in a different way. That most people may not typically see it in that way on a day-to-day. But once they're getting educated and once they're becoming more informed, or how I use
take your time.
The way I like to use the word empowerment is about raising conscious awareness.
Correct.
And so in talking about that, it comes back to, giving people an opportunity to see something in a different light. Because I think most times when we're not aware of it, a lot of times, we can be very insensitive to some of the social problems that are out there. For instance, let's just go back to domestic violence. A lot of times in the field when I used to do that work, and I used to work with, in the host agency that I was in at the time, I would give referrals, and a lot of times, I would get from a worker like, why doesn't she just leave them? I don't get why doesn't she stay? And
to the novice, that is.
To the novice, it's almost like, and when you think about it, a lot of times I think it's, when you think about someone who has experienced trauma, whether we're talking about trauma on, on an individual level, on a community level, where there's been so much exposure to violence, for instance, unless you either lived it or been around it or has affected a family member, to a novice, as you use the term, they wouldn't understand it. And they may come off as insensitive, because they're just thinking, well, if someone was beating my, I would just leave them. I wouldn't stay. I wouldn't try to stay with that. But again, it really depends, on that person's experience, because again, we can never say that, that would never happen to me.
Correct.
Because you just never know.
Yeah. If we talk from what I'm getting from what you're saying, if we're talking about empowering community and people in the community, with one of the examples you used there, that when your background in working with women who were victims of domestic violence, would you say this part of this program is about empowering the person as a person that's been traumatized? How can the Community Leadership Academy help empower that person who's been through a trauma, whether it's in that particular field or, witnessing a shooting or witnessing, domestic violence of any type? How can the Community Leadership Academy empower a person if they're watching today? How can it empower them?
Pretty much, like as I mentioned earlier, one of the things about the Academy is that, it's a group of people coming together and it's, learning about trauma-informed care. And what is trauma-informed care? So, HopeWorks comes out and they do our seminar on being trauma-informed and what does that mean. But it also gives, the group members an opportunity to come together in a safe space and to be able to talk about real issues with others in a way where they're not going to be judged, where someone is not going to say, to put them down or make them feel less than, or talk to them in a condescending manner and make them feel, like you don't belong.
Correct.
But I can say that after, a couple sessions, like the group members began to establish like a buddy system. They exchanged numbers, they spoke outside of the academy, they made some friendships. And they, now they have a network of people now outside, of the academy that if it weren't for the academy, they wouldn't have met. So they're kind of like coming together with others, their neighbors, I say, and really coming together and just talking about real issues in a safe space, but establishing that connection, and really having a transforming, experience.
Can you give us, the audience, an example of one of the projects of the Community Leadership Academy that's ongoing? Can you give us an example of that?
Sure. So the Community Leadership Academy, one of the things that they do midway in the course of the academy is that they have to develop and coordinate a community impact project. And with this last group, their impact project that they chose as a group, because they do have to come to a consensus around what their community impact project will be. And so the group members all decided that they wanted to pretty much acknowledge all the unsung heroes of Camden City. And so they chose about 27 people that are doing work in the city and making a difference in people's lives in the city. And they did an event and at the sanctuary for 2 hours. They ate, they sang, and they pretty much just honored their guests and gave them a certificate of appreciation, letting them know that, that they're appreciated and that their service is appreciated.
Well, that sounds great. And I think you have in the studio with you that this audience will hear from in a few minutes, an example of that kind of participation from someone from the community we're going to have shortly. But I think sounds like a wonderful event. I mean, I think they couldn't chose a better person to represent that, in the community. And is there anything that you would like to say to add on to what you were saying about why it's necessary for community members, as you say, 18 and above, correct, to be involved with this?
Yeah, it gives people an opportunity to be a game changer, to spread awareness about, anything. It could, raising awareness on anything positive, on any event that they want to host, to kind of bring the community together, to bring residents together, to just spread awareness in a positive way and to lift people up.
I guess that's stated well enough. So, community, there it is. We're not going to go anywhere, but maybe we'll come back with a guest. What you think?
That was great.
So, don't touch that remote. Please, we'll be right back and with some very interesting guests.
Dr. Charles E. Brim was born in Philadelphia on May 24th of 1924. His legacy begins and ends in Camden, New Jersey. Dr. Charles E. Brim received his primary and secondary educations in the city of Camden, graduating from Camden High in 1942. Upon graduation, he took his talents to the Army for 3 years, then returned back to Camden to enroll in South Jersey Law School, Rutgers Camden Law School as of today. He moved to Ottawa, Canada, successfully attaining his Bachelor's of Science and a degree in medicine from the University of Ottawa over a course of 7 years. Dr. Charles E. Brim specialized in family medicine and family practice with his medicine degree. Dr. Charles E. Brim's public service proves him to be a true humanitarian. In 1956, Dr. Charles E. Brim returned to the city of Camden and began his practice in family medicine on 514 Keynes Avenue. He provided medical care in Camden for a whopping 41 years. 41 years. In the 70s, his prime time, Dr. Brim took the initiative to resolve the drug epidemic that doomed the residents of Camden. He built the Concept House, a drug rehabilitation center that redeemed many lives of drug addicts at the time. Dr. Brim became aware that Camden residents needed something more grand to their health or their wellness. So he suggested primary care centers. He and Emily Dewar cooperated and founded Camp Care Health, an organization with the mission to provide primary care and mental health care services. Camp Care also sponsored a housing project nicknamed Dr. Charles E. Brim Community Homes. This was permanent residence for his clients in need of service. Dr. Charles E. Brim received many awards and honors: the Public Service Institute Award, the Cooper Foundation Distinguished Healthcare Professional Award. He was also elected by the Queen of England as an affiliate of the Royal Society of Medicine. His concern for welfare of Camden residents was evident. Again, in the 70s, his prime time, Dr. Charles E. Brim served as a city councilman. Dr. Charles E. Brim was staff of Cooper, Our Lady of Lourdes, and Virtual Hospitals. He taught and lectured at nearby universities such as the College of Medicine and Dentistry of New Jersey, Thomas Jefferson, Temple, and Hahnemann. Dr. Charles E. Brim retired in 1997, but still made his way to Dr. Charles E. Brim Medical Arts to appeal to the new generation and to share some insight of what his life was like and give a deep understanding of what he was all about. And for that, we honor him and honor his work ethic and legacy.
Greetings, and we are back, and I'm just having a great time talking to some wonderful people here in and around our community. And I have a guest with me. She is a CLA Community Leadership Academy alumni now. Okay, my guest here, Shelby Williams. Greetings.
Hi, how are you?
That's great. Great to have you. Great to have you, and great to talk about it. As this community just got more involved with what this program, Community Leadership Academy, is all about. How have this academy affected you?
It's been wonderful. Not only have I made just some fantastic friends, but I've just discovered more of what's going on in Camden. For it being such a small city, there is a lot happening. So it was just really cool to be exposed to that, and not just stay in my own little bubble of what I know, but be exposed to the different resources in the city so that I can better serve the people that I interact with.
Well, talk to us a little about what being a Community Leadership Academy alumni is all about. What is that all about?
Well, I've gone through the program, and we are the first to have gone through the program, so that's pretty exciting. But basically, the program just equips us with different skills and opportunities in order to not only be more informed, but I think just to know how to do different things, whether it be just interacting with our different community members, how to be mindful of the things that we do and say, knowing how to equip the people in which we're working with. And then knowing how we can work together, I think, because I think all of us in the community that are working with people, we're all on the same team. And so to be aware of one another is so important. So as a member, I was exposed to all of those things. Yeah.
Well, now, how have you, because you live in Camden, correct? And but you're not from Camden, and we want to talk a little bit about that. We're going to go a little bit about that because there's some similarities that we have in talking, off the record here on that. Now, do you think, not being from Camden, how long have you been in Camden?
I've been in Camden for a year and a half.
A year and a half. Do you think this program has helped you get more involved? If it wasn't for this program, you wouldn't know how to get involved. Do you think it would be helpful for those who are new to Camden, or how helpful, two questions, how helpful would it be for those who are new to Camden, and how helpful you think, since you're alumni, that would be for people who were born and raised in Camden?
Yeah, I think for, because I can very personally speak from that perspective of not being from Camden, but wanting to be involved in Camden, and what is the, I think, most respectful way to go about that. Because I can bust into the city and think that I'm going to make all these changes and here I am. And I didn't want to do that, because I don't feel like that's the right way to enter a community, to understand a community. So I think for me, I very much just wanted to make relationships with people. And I think that the Academy allowed me to do that in a respectful and just good,
humble way.
Yeah, a humble way. Yeah. So I think for me, like, it's just important to understand people. So in order to understand people, you have to know where they're coming from, and then what your place is in their life, whether it be just to walk with them, or whether it be to equip them or give them resources. So for me, it was just such a humble way, like you said, it's a really good word, to go about entering into community that I'm not from, because I would never want to bust in and think, I just know what's going on, and here I am.
And from that perspective, what way you would think that would benefit people who are actually
from Camden.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there are so many people in Camden, and there are so many resources in Camden, but they don't always align with one another.
Correct.
So I think that it allows for people just to know what's going on in their city, and that's so important. I think that I work with children, for example. So the way in which I am reaching these children is going to be very different than somebody who's from the city and how they're going to reach those children. Mm-hmm. And it's not discounting me because I'm not from here, but it's empowering them because they automatically have that camaraderie with them because they grew up in the same city, you know, and they face the same struggles or triumphs or whatever it may be. And so, I think for both residents and those that are new or whatever it may be, it was awesome. So
now, Shelby, talk to us a little bit about you. So you are from?
I'm from Arizona.
Arizona.
Yeah.
What's the name of the town in Arizona?
I'm from Apache Junction.
Apache Junction. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful area.
Beautiful.
Just for the audience to know, I did attend college in Arizona, Eastern Arizona College in Thatcher, or some people say Safford. It's right, two towns right next to it. It was a great experience for me coming out of an urban setting and going there and performing. On the basketball scholarship I was, but it was a great time. I love the weather. I love the dry heat there.
It's nice.
Yes.
Much warmer, that's for
yes.
sure.
So you went to college in the Midwest, you said.
I did.
And where's that at?
I went to Ozark Christian College. It's a private Christian college in Joplin, Missouri.
Correct.
So right smack dab in the middle of the United States.
Okay. And Midtown America.
Yeah. It was very different.
And I think you talked a little bit too about that. And what kind of lured you to this program is that your church is here in Camden as well too, right?
It is, yeah. I go to Epiphany Camden on State Street. Okay. So right there on State and River. And I came to Camden originally. I graduated in 2016, and I felt very much called to work in an inner city context. And then I had different experiences in different cities, but I wanted to do something more long term. So I got an internship at Urban Promise, which is a nonprofit in the
Great
city.
organization, correct. Great organization.
So working with kids and working with teenagers is something I'm very passionate about. So after that year, I decided, hey, I love this place. I love the church community I've been a part of. And I don't have anywhere else I'd like to go at the moment, you know. And so I got a job in the city. So I work at the neighborhood center. And I do very similar work to what I did at Urban Promise. I am an after-school counselor, and I work with the teens. So, it was definitely unexpected. And
so why do I have you here? I might as well ask you some of these striking questions. It's not really too striking because, image, and you know how the mainstream media portray urban America and the city of America. As we would say, you can't believe the hype, I guess speaking from your perspective, talk to the audience a little bit about how that's maybe in your case, it may not be, but I'm saying, I don't want to say your words for you. Yeah. That perspective, that image that they paint of Camden.
Yeah.
What do you think of Camden, who's been here and is here?
So many people ask me, actually, believe it or not, like a lot of my Lyft drivers and my Uber drivers, that's the first question they ask me is, what do you think of Camden? So many people ask me that. Or they're really surprised. People are always really surprised of why I'm here and why I would choose Camden. But I really love Camden. And I love the people of Camden, and I think that that's what has hooked me from the beginning. I think it's a very misunderstood place, and you can't believe everything you hear on TV because, it's all about commercialism and making money and
sensationalism.
Yeah, like let's make things look as good or bad as we can, you know? So I think that Camden is a very misunderstood place, full of a lot of really beautiful people and a lot of really fantastic opportunities, and I think it's really hard to. I even tell my family, because I think even in that regard, it's a little misunderstood. They don't quite understand where I'm at and what I'm doing and who I'm living with, and you don't know a place until you move into a place, until you actually get to know people. So it's just been it's been hard. It has not been easy by any means, but it's been so good just to be exposed and just have the opportunity for things I would have never had the opportunity.
Now, getting back to the Community Leadership Academy, talk to us a little more. Look in the camera, and convince someone who may not be from Camden and they may be watching on YouTube because this show streams live recorded on YouTube as well as the local cable station here. talk to people who may not be from Camden and or may be from Camden why they should be really, really a member of the Community Leadership Academy.
Yeah, I think that if you're looking to get involved in your community, whether you're from the community or you're entering into the community like I did, the Leadership Academy just exposes you to so much, not only skills and not only equipping you to better serve people and to better be aware, but also just to inform you. I think that we can all be more informed, and there's always something to learn. So I would highly recommend it. I met some really fantastic people. I made some really wonderful connections. And I think that's what it's about. I think if we're going to serve the city of Camden, that we should be doing that together, that there should be an open communication of what this organization is doing and what this organization is doing and how can we support one another. And if you have this, what can I bring? And are we both bringing the same things? And how are those things differing? And so I would highly recommend it. I would do it.
Yeah. So what about the program has made you a better person than you were before you got into the program? What specifically?
Yeah. Specifically, I think when someone comes to me, I think people are naturally fixers. We want to fix things. We want to patch things up. And I've learned with working with people that they're not a project, that they're not something you can just fix, you can't just patch up. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just taught me better to walk with people and meet people where they are, mm-hmm. and be a better listener and be a better friend. And there's so many different ways that you can do that, So not only is it important to have those resources and say, okay, well, you're struggling with this. This is what I know. Let me share with you what I know or what I have to offer, but also just I'm a friend, I'm somebody to walk with you. So that's how it's benefited me. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a great opportunity, as we was talking about, getting involved with the community. We have our young students here at the University of Islam here in Camden, number 20, Brother Hafiz Muhammad, Brother Sabor Muhammad, getting involved and doing so much. And the reason why I'm mentioning that because they're here, they're involved, and I like to expose them to as much as possible so they can hear the great things that's going on in Camden, and they can do what is called, what I try to style leadership as a servant leader. And if you're not a servant leader, and then you can't hang around me. If you're looking for the limelight, there are plenty of places for that. But if you're ready to serve the community, I'm so glad I had the opportunity to sit down and talk to you. And I think it's great. You have a beautiful, beautiful spirit, and keep going on. So what do we say? What would you like to say in closing?
I'm just thankful for the opportunity. I would highly recommend the Academy. And don't believe all that you hear on TV. I think, like I said, you have to be in Camden to understand Camden and understand its people, and it's really, really beautiful. So, yeah.
And there you is, and you have it. And see, we love when people who was not necessarily born and raised in Camden have to say that about that, have never been familiar with it. So you heard it from her, and as we would say from an old Public Enemy song, "Don't believe the hype. Come for you, see for yourself." So don't go nowhere. We're going to close out our last segment, and we're going to come back with the director of the program, Miss Elsica González, again. And I'm just excited that when I meet people who talks about being involved and getting involved, it just makes me excited. I'm so glad I had the opportunity to interview you. So don't go nowhere. Don't touch the remote. We'll be right back.
Hello, we are Kwamir,
Jay, and Jacquez.
We admire Crispus Attucks, a black veteran from Massachusetts. He shall be remembered in history for being the first casualty of the American Revolution.
Born into slavery, Crispus Attucks was believed to be the son of Prince Younger, a slave shipped to America from Africa, and Nancy Attucks, an Attucks Indian. As a young adult, Attucks managed to escape slavery for good, spending the next 2 decades on trading ships and whaling vessels coming in and out of Boston. Attucks played an important role in Boston when he defended his country against British rule during an attack that became known as the Boston Massacre. He lost his life during this attack and became the first martyr for the United States.
And welcome back. And we are back to the Wasim Muhammad show that I'm always very, very excited to highlight great people in and from among our community. We just listened to someone who was a graduate of the Community Leadership Academy. Then now she's an alumni. So what we're saying this to you for, because we want you to get more involved. And this is why we're going to bring our sister back and homegrown here. So you had someone who's not from this area and even Camden, but now you have someone that's homegrown. So it gives us no excuse community to get involved, and especially with organizations that's doing the hardline work of working with our young people. So we brought in this last segment, we brought Elsica back to talk to us a little bit. It was something that we didn't talk about, that we talked about off camera, that we need to talk about, and that is how often is the Academy performing, and how often will they have graduates?
So pretty much the Academy will be running out pretty much, like, I'm accepting applications on a rolling basis. So there's no deadline. If you're interested, I just say, just reach out, connect. Again, you can either do it by phone, by calling me at 609-238-0654, or you can email me at communityleadershipacademies@centerffs.org. Or you can come in person, pick up an application, whatever works best for you. The other thing about it is, in terms of the length of the Academy, it is short term. It's about 2 months long. We meet twice a week. It just so happened the last group we did it in the evening because some of our members either worked or they were volunteering in other areas. So we do try to accommodate, people's, schedules and lives. We do not have childcare, and we do not provide transportation. But we do encourage people, we try to make sure that it's, around a time that's going to be beneficial for all the members or all the applicants that apply for the Academy. It is free. There's no charge for it. It really is one of those things, as Shelby mentioned earlier, about coming together, congregating, and just having a positive impact. And doing it in a collective manner, and just sharing knowledge, sharing insight, just sharing information, as I mentioned before, in a safe space, while broadening our understanding of, other agencies, communities, and just different things that are happening in the city. Because there's a lot happening in Camden.
Yeah, and we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Now, as we, in this last segment, this is all about young people.
Yeah.
Trying to inspire them to keep doing what we're doing. This is why, to bring someone from community and that they can understand, because you grew up in North Camden, as we say, North Kakalaka back in the day. I don't know if y'all still use that term. I'm showing my age now. But nevertheless, talk to a young person who's looking to be involved and to train, and they may be inspired by you. What would you say to them?
I would say to them, don't just sit back, give it an opportunity, give it a chance. And, just if you don't see that leadership, ability in you, I say, you know what, take that step forward and test it out. What's the worst that can happen? If you don't like it, then, say, I can't do this. It's not for me. It's not what I thought or whatever, but we definitely want you to come out and give it a try. I always tell people, if you put in your application and, you end up getting a job and you can't, follow through with your application for the Academy, like, don't let that stop you from, reconnecting. I can always hold your application, and if if it works for you on my next rollout, then you can always come back and do the Academy at a later time. Like, we don't turn people away just because, if you don't know how to read, we don't hold that against people. We really want you to come in and join us, and and have these conversations and just be real, and have that opportunity to just be you, and let the you shine, and just connecting with others so that you have that opportunity to get to know one another. But then establish like sustainable or long lasting connections with people, instead of temporary connection.
Well, we say the same thing if you were speaking to people in your age group or older. Would you say the same thing, or would you echo what you said, or is there anything else that we can give to them?
Like we all can grow. I feel like as people, we're complex, and we're constantly learning about ourselves and about others. And I feel like that's what the Academy does. It allows you to have that opportunity to not only learn more about yourself and what your strengths and your weaknesses are, but it also gives you that opportunity to learn about others, and and to be able to do it in a safe space.
Okay, well, I think that's wonderful. There's no say. Even what about our elder community? You think they should come out and be involved about this?
We're trying to reach senior to senior and anything in between. So if if you're interested and wanting to connect with people in a positive way, I say come join us, and don't let your age or don't let your age or your background or anything like that deter you from wanting to be part of something that's happening and it's mobilizing the city.
Correct. Now, thoughts about Camden City? I think
my hometown. This is where I got all my grassroots learning, and it's always. Camden is I have still family, friends that are in the city, and I just see it as my home. It's where my heart is. I feel like if it wasn't for me being from Camden, and then the experience I have working for the people of Camden and being of service to them, I don't think that I would be where I am today. So I definitely do feel blessed.
Do you like the direction that Camden City is going under? The transformation that we've seen.
Because Camden is not where it was. Right. You know what I mean? And it's not where it can be.
Correct.
But we're a work in progress, yes. And we're just going to see it go back to being that city invincible. And I firmly believe that. Because we do have people in the city that are looking for change, and they want to see real change, and they want to see their city change for the better. And I think that anybody that has come into this academy from day one, when surveys went out, a lot of the members in their feedback to us shared that they do believe and they want to see Camden thrive again. They want to see Camden change, and they feel like it's going towards that direction. But yeah, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for people to be lifted and for communities to come together collectively to make a difference.
Yeah, a quick note. We want to talk about it real quick.
Sure.
The impact of the Puerto Rican hurricanes that hit our island. When we say our, because it's inclusive. Because some people in leadership try to act like it was separate, like it was in America. I'm not going to say any names. Yeah. We're not going to politicize this show. But nevertheless, is family, everybody okay? Is it, do you still keep in contact with them?
I do. I have my mom there, my stepdad, and my younger sister, and my recently born nephew, Joriel. And I do have other family members there as well, my stepdad's side. But everybody, for the most part, they're okay. They're still, it's a work in progress. Like, they're still, they have their basic needs met, and they have each other, and that's what has kept them as strong as they've been thus far. But they still have life and, oxygen, and they got food on the table and clothes on their back, and so yeah, they got electricity and water and all of that. Okay,
so update. We always like to give updates so people can keep them with the prayers and the hopes.
That's on one side of the island. Like, that's on the west side. My family's from the west side. They're from Aguada. But I'm sure there were other areas, from what I was told by my family, that were hit much worse than what they've experienced.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful island. We always wish the best for our Aboriginal family there. And we always keep them in our prayers. But now, and a few questions I asked the guests, and talk a little bit about the particular guest that we just had on the show, and what did she bring to the academy, and what others can bring. What did she bring to the academy?
She's full of life. Shelby is full of life. She has so much to offer, And she's genuine, and she really is all about wanting to reach people and touch people's souls. And again, I'm so blessed to have had Shelby, because honestly, I think, like I said, she has a lot to offer, and she has a genuine spirit. And with that said, I mean, I think anyone that comes into the academy, when they come in with a humble heart, positive, and bringing in that energy of wanting to make a difference and being part of the social changes that are happening in the city, I think that, you know, we can make anything happen when we come together. You know what they say, sometimes 2 minds are better than one.
Always.
But I firmly believe that, you know, this has the ability to really shift people's minds and perspectives about Camden and about the things that are coming for Camden. You know, so it's time to bring it. I tell people to bring it.
So is there anything you would like to say in closing, that if you sat back and we watched this show, you said, man, I wish I could have said that. I wanted to say this, I said that. You know, just, is there anything you would like to say in closing to the community about the community? Absolutely. That's
so, hola. Mi gente, quiero saludar a todos, todos los residentes de la ciudad. Si están interesados en la Academia de Liderazgo, por favor aplique. Puede aplicar por teléfono a 609-238-0654 o también puede mandarme un correo electrónico a communityleadershipacademy@centerffs.org. Para deletreártelo es centro, CENTER, perdón, déjame decírtelo otra vez, community, COMMUNI de punto TY, liderazgo en inglés se dice leadership, LEADERSH y de punto P, academias, ACADEMI de punto ES @ centro CENTER F de Franco S de Samuel .org.
I would like to, you made that simplistic that I can understand it. So I'm glad that you do it. We like to think that international, you know, we want to say that when we talk about our family, that we're international school. We're just not just for Camden, that we share Camden, but we share Camden with the world. And Camden, that's a great piece. Absolutely, yes.
Part of the other thing we're trying to do is we want to be able to have academies in both English and Spanish. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we were definitely looking to run an academy for Spanish-speaking people. So, lo que yo le estaba mencionando al ministro es que nosotros queremos tener un grupo de miembros que su primer idioma es el español. Por favor, si tiene el interés, por favor aplique. Tengo las aplicaciones en inglés igual que el español. Y tengo el folleto, igual que la solicitud para que pueda aplicar. Si necesita llamarme, si no podía escoger el dirección electrónico, por favor de llamarme a 609-238-0654. Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
But
thank you. Thank you for being a guest. Thank you for gracing our audience with such a magnificent show. And there it goes, community. We have it, the Community Leadership Academy, with the director, Sister Elsica González. I'm your brother, once again, Brother Minister Wasim Muhammad. I am so grateful and have the opportunity to broadcast to you here through this humble station here at CCSD-TV. And remember, community, we have to get involved. The more we involve, the more problem solvers that we are, the more our community will grow. We must continue to work together, and we must work in the scope that Camden is as broad as all of the areas, as a space in the universe. And what Camden what we have to bring to the table is more than enough. And we have great people here in the community. You heard it from the people that's outside the community. It's not what it is. What the hype is, don't believe the hype. Don't believe mainstream media. Come out, support, get involved. Until I see you again, have a great day. And may Almighty God continue to bless each and every one of us. Have a nice day. Peace be unto you.